teacher, so she will start us off, and then each of us has a little tidbit to share with you during this session.
Okay, welcome. We are so happy that you're joining us, and we are also taping this so that families that are not able to join us can watch the video of this program at their convenience. We are going to introduce some of the services and supports that we use our title funding to support in the school. That is everything from instructional support, English learning support. We've got a lot of different areas that we like to help students with, and every student in our school is entitled to these services and supports. So we're going to introduce some of our staff along the way and share some of the supports that are available for your student anytime during the school year. And I'll hand it over to Miss Roxanne.
Hello, everybody. My name is Roxanne Kaminsky. I am our school improvement coordinator as well as the credit recovery lead teacher. So I'm really highly involved with our alternative program and our credit recovery kids as well as our school improvement. So I just wanted to be really transparent. We here at HCCA, we are super transparent as far as everything that we use for communication. So we do have various information for you guys available. The school parent compact is located in the student handbook. The parent right to know is going to be is sent via some more. The parent teacher notice is sent via mail. And then parent-teacher conferences are Wednesday, October 11th, and then Wednesday, March 20th in the spring. And this PowerPoint will also be sent out to you guys after, and it will also be available on our website too. Our curriculum at HCCA aligns directly with Indiana state standards, and all the academic standards can be found in this clickable link here for you guys if you're ever curious to go through that. We do have various assessments that we take throughout the year. NWEA is one that we take 3 times a year. We take it in the beginning of the year, which is typically in August. And then we take it in the middle of the year, which starts in December. And then the end of year window starts in May. I Learn Biology will be for students who are currently taking biology in April. And then the SAT is for all juniors. It is a requirement. It is a requirement for graduation for Indiana juniors. That assessment is also in April. And then, of course, we have iLearn for grades 7 through 8, and that is in April as well. All of those dates will be provided to you guys, so you'll have an idea as to how you need to adjust your schedules when it comes to testing. So our school improvement plan. Our school improvement plan really just identifies different ways that we can improve our school. So it's a collection of academic and non-academic data. It is full of different goals and strategies and action steps that we as a school are going to make to address the needs of your students. You guys have the right to be involved with this process, and we would love for your guys' involvement throughout the school improvement plan. Which brings me to my next point is how you guys can be involved. So we do really, really need you, and we appreciate your voice. It is so important to us. If you are really interested in being involved with our school, there is going to be a PTO interest form that is sent out. Please complete that, and then I will be in touch with you in about a week regarding that. And I'm going to turn it over to Miss Mallory.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So hi, I am Mallory Kindig. I am the MTS coordinator here, and I also do English intervention. Mrs. Beckett is here. Holly Beckett, she is here. She also does English intervention. She works with the middle school. And then she's also our EL teacher this year. So, and she will speak after this. We also have a math interventionist that's working with the middle school team, and that is Mr. Ross, and he's not here this evening, but we actually have a team this year that is working to try to build up our MTSS program. The biggest thing that we want to make sure that our families know is just kind of what that looks like. What is intervention? What do those tiers look like? How does that pertain to your student? So every student is involved at the tier 1 level. This is the universal instruction that every student is getting in every single one of their classes. And so they should already be getting differentiated instruction. They should already be getting those different pieces in their content classes. Beyond that, if they should need a smaller group setting, that is when we will look at putting them into tier 2 and if needed into tier 3. So tier 2 is where Holly and I focus most of our time. Right now, we don't have any tier 3 kids identified at this time. So those kids are getting put into small groups to get extra instruction directly from us on either, well, for us, it's from English, or from us, it's for English. And then with Mr. Ross, it is for math. At this time, we already have identified students. And if your student is in intervention, you should already know that. A welcome email is sent out to all of you. Now, for us to identify at the beginning of the year, especially if your child is new to our school, we just kind of look at pure number data. So at the beginning of the year, like Roxanne said, we have the NWEA that we take. And we take that 3 times throughout the year so that we have a starting point and we're looking for growth throughout the entire school year. So we're looking at the beginning of the year, is your student below, at, or above grade level? And there's a specific score they have to get. Can show you guys on the next slide. There's a specific score your student is looking to get to meet each of these levels. So there's kind of 5 different categories, and our intervention team focuses on the 30% range and lower. So those are if we see your kid or scores in that area, that's kind of one of the first tags for us, or first identifiers. The next program that we use is IXL, and IXL is an everyday use, especially if you're in middle school or if your student is in 9th grade. So IXL is a program that we use to identify gaps in either English or in math. And then we use those identifiers there to try to help your student build up those skills. They take a test, or they work on a diagnostic, I should say, and that tells us what level they are answering most questions at correctly. So students get a hundreds score, and they can always improve it, which is kind of the nice thing. They don't have to wait until winter to show us, hey, I'm actually learning something. This is an ongoing, this is a progressive program that we use, which is really informative for us. So if you ever look at your child's IXL, their score is based on their grade level. So if their score is in the 500s, that means they're answering most questions at the 5th grade level correctly. So obviously, if they're in 7th, we want kids to be answering in the 700s or higher, 800 for the 8th graders, and then 900s for the 9th graders. So that is our second identifier for intervention. And then lastly is going to be course grade. We monitor that throughout the semester, and that's also another key piece to making sure we're seeing growth. If we have last year's grade, that's another really great indicator, but with new students, we don't always get that piece of information when you transfer over. But if your kid is in intervention right now and you weren't sure why, these would be the 3 key pieces that we are looking at. Like I mentioned with the fall NWEA, there's a certain score or percentile that we are wanting them to get in. If kids score between the 10th and 40th percentile, we are looking to possibly include them in the tier 2 services. That means that they will meet with Holly or I a couple of times a week to try to boost that score, and just like I said, to kind of fill in those gaps. If we have kids that score near the 10th percentile range or lower, that could be an indicator that they need to be tier 3. Now, we don't automatically just put kids into tier 3 because they scored poorly on NWEA. We definitely need to have a lot of other evidence and factors in place. So if you're ever like, oh my gosh, my kid scored in the 5th percentile, they're going to be in intervention at tier 3, and it's not, we will never categorize them like that. There's a lot of data that goes into identifying the students and doing what's best for them as far as services. If a student is chosen, and if your kid is in intervention right now, like I said, they are all tier 2 students. And right now, all of the middle school students are receiving 2 days of intervention for 50 minutes. And this fits into their schedule, regardless of whether they're doing math, language arts, or both. So there's no conflict. It also will never conflict with their content classes. These are just additional support sessions to try to boost their scores and fill in their gaps. For language arts, we're really focusing on trying to identify those big standards, or those standards that we see in language arts regularly that those kids are struggling with. Our classroom curriculum is created by us based on what your student needs, which is really nice. So we can spend 2 or 3 weeks on a topic. We could spend 4 weeks on a topic. Whatever your students need, that is what our goal is to try to see that progress in there. One thing that we really strive for the students to know is that this, yes, is an extra class, but we're not asking you to we're not going to ask you to write a paper on your own. You're not expected to do all of this work on your own. Our goal is to utilize those 50 minutes, 2 days a week that we have with you to see progress, not perfection. Which I think is a really big thing for our students to know is, oh, I have to go to this extra class and have all this work. They don't. We're really just trying to improve their skills. For the students that are identified for math, they are working very closely with the math curriculum this year. So Mr. Eckert is our math teacher, and he and Mr. Ross are really working hand in hand this year to make sure that students are in math intervention are really working towards getting that extra help on the skills that he's working on. So we're really excited about that alignment this semester. We will do progress monitoring throughout. We try to make sure that kids are showing progress. And at the end of like every 10 or 12 weeks, it just depends on the calendar, we'll stop, we'll monitor, and we like to try to make sure that you parents are aware of how your student is doing. Are we seeing progress? Do we need to change something up? Are they maybe going to need a little extra help? And then that leads me to, what can you guys do as parents to kind of help? Because we're going to use IXL. We're going to approach with these different interventions that we think are appropriate, or we think will help fill in those knowledge gaps. So it is really an instructional approach. We're trying to reteach these different skills that are in class, and trying to align what we're doing in class with what your student really needs. And that comes from also you guys. So like Roxanne said, you guys play a really critical role in supporting your student and making sure that they understand the importance of their education. So you will probably receive, if you haven't already and you're in intervention, communication from us teachers regularly, whether it is, hey, we want your student in class, or hey, your student did really great today. And we try to send out those both sides, both the positives and the concern, emails and text messages, just so that you are in close proximity. You are knowledgeable about what is happening with your student in intervention. At the start of, when your student starts, I should say, when your student starts intervention with us, you will receive a welcome email. It will map out your student's goals, as well as what their scores are. In that email, there is an opt-out link. So if you feel very strongly that your student does not need to receive intervention services, you can always fill that form out and I will call you and we can discuss next steps and what is best for your child. The email you get will look something like this. It just says, welcome to ELA support. And like I said, it maps out what I've tried to do each year, is so that way you and your student both know, hey, here is where your student scored. Here is what your goal is. So if your student is in intervention right now, they would have received this. It lists out what their results were this fall, and it lists where we want to see them, either at fall break or at the end of this semester, just so we're all on the same page and we all know that we're working towards the same goal, which is, like I said, progress and not perfection. So that's just kind of a quick wrap on intervention. I know some of your students in here. Might have had me before and might have Mrs. Beckett right now. So Mrs. Beckett is actually going to speak next, and she is going to be talking about her ELL services.
So my schedule is sort of split. Hi, I'm Holly Beckett. I'm the teacher of record for English language learners here at HCCA. And what that means is basically any student who has indicated that they spoke another language first other than English when they came to school. So what we do is we run with that, and most of you have already received annual home letters sent home or ILPs sent home that we are establishing and put in place. So some of our resources for our EL students include 20 minutes daily in homeroom, sort of clarifying any of the skills that are talked about in homeroom, building up those social and emotional learning skills, and the other things that they need to be successful in every class that they have, and sort of reviewing the vocabulary that comes along with that so they understand what's being asked. I also meet with EL students 50 minutes 2 to 3 times a week as needed. So if they are more than 1 point away from passing the WIDA, then I pull them in and meet with them so we can build up some of those academic skills and academic vocabulary. We are working on PSYOP training for the staff to meet the needs of EL students. But the great thing about PSYOP training is it just builds in scaffolding that's great for all students, especially the MTSS students we talked about, but any student who might need that individualized support as they grow as a learner. Also in EL, we've started Duolingo for schools. Primarily, most of our, well, all but one of our EL students spoke Spanish as a first language. So we were able to implement the English course for Spanish speakers, which reinforces and supports their home language while also filling in basic skills in English at an individualized level. So it's all handled by the computer, and as the students work through it using the goals that we've set in the class, then it adapts to their individual needs, which I love that. And then the 2 pink squares on the slide indicate the areas that we are still building a resource page for students that they could access on their own to help with various classes, and then a resource page for parents and staff to gather additional information to help students. Support for EL students is based around their individual schedules, so it doesn't conflict with anything else, and we are doing everything we can to meet those needs.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Holly. And I put in the chat, I know we're throwing a lot of information at you guys. So please feel free to just raise your hand. We can give you the microphone for a question, or put any questions in the chat. We don't want to stop and just necessarily wait for questions if you guys don't have any. So if you do come up with any, please, by all means, put them in the chat or jump on the microphone, and we'd be happy to stop and answer those. We do just have one final section here. And 2 little slides for Miss Veronica to introduce herself. She's new. So take it away, Veronica.
Sure thing. So my name is Veronica Roberts. You may hear people refer to me as the Family Resource Specialist and some as Student Support Services. And I kind of do both of those. In terms of family resource support, I work with families to provide resources and student support during the day. I'm there to support students, whether they need something for mental health needs to just navigate it, something I'm kind of in that position to help them through the school day. This is my contact information. Feel free to take it down. I know any staff could probably get this information for you, but please take it down, because one of my biggest roles is making sure you have resources available to you. So my role as the Family Resource Specialist. So supporting students in all forms. Part of that is, like I said, during the day, making sure I'm present in school and available to students if they need something from me, if they need me to talk to me, if they may feel like they're in crisis, just being there for them and connecting them with resources, as well as keeping you guys in the loop what's happening at school. Informing families of resources available to them. So that means, because we're a school that's essentially statewide, it's important to have resources that are located in your local community. So making sure I locate resources in these communities and make sure you guys are aware of various things going on, from coat drives to various programs for Christmas as well as Thanksgiving drives. I'll try to get that information to you guys. And referring families for various referrals. So I work with a lot of different places to make sure there are referrals available for you guys for various necessities. But some of our key referrals are emergency shelter options, me looking through that with you, trying to figure out what options may work for best for your family if you are in need of emergency shelter. Food resources such as pantries, working through different SNAP applications, or even locating emergency food options in your counties. Mental health referrals. One of the biggest referrals we do is through Eskenazi, because we provide mental health services for students to see a therapist virtually, as well as working with internet services. And that's a big one, especially since you're virtual, is connecting families with some type of assistance to get some help with internet. And finally, I'm the point of contact for McKinney-Vento students. And if you aren't familiar, McKinney-Vento is a federal law passed years ago that essentially works to make sure everything is being done for students that may be experiencing homelessness or lacking any fixed residence, to make sure they're receiving all services possible to continue their education at their school of origin. So if you are a family that has to double up, which means staying with family members for economic reasons, please call me and let me know, because I may be able to connect you with various resources and just be there for you guys. Or if you are in an emergency shelter or staying somewhere like a campground, please reach out to me and let me know, because like I said, I may be able to connect you to various resources. I think that's it for me, Mallory. Oh, there's another key component. We do have a student resource website. So I am sorry I didn't get the link in the actual presentation, because I think I was supposed to email to Mallory, but I'll actually put it in the chat. It's different from the EL page, but we do have a broad student resource page you could go to if you're looking for resources. So I'll make sure to put that in the chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Veronica. And this link that she's putting in the chat, along with any of the other links that you've seen in this presentation so far, will be a part or will be accessible when we send the PowerPoint out to you all, as well as on our website. So if you miss it right now, or you are like, oh, how am I supposed to find the email? You can always find it on our website. So that actually concludes all of the information that we wanted to present to you guys today. If at any point you guys have any questions, if you have any right now, I will open up the mic and anybody is willing to grab and ask a question. Otherwise, we do appreciate you guys for coming and taking time out of your evening to get this information that is very important for all of our families to be aware of. So thank you guys so much for coming. Jump on the mic, stick around if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a great Monday and a great rest of their week.